Aren't you tired of this soy-based entertainment? Well, let the world know by ordering your Soylo, a Soy Wars Story t-shirt, or Tico, a Soy Wars Story t-shirt. Both come in all kinds of sizes from small to 5XL. We're sure we can fit you. And thank you very much for your support of the channel. The link is below in the description. Man, it's exciting. Suddenly I'm a t-shirt merchant as well. Humble Frog, ink, and t-shirt merchant. Thanks, guys.
This theater is one of many crime scenes where tens of thousands of Star Wars fans came together yesterday only to have their dreams murdered by a ruthless empire. Hey everyone, thank you very much. Great to be with you, great to be among you. I do appreciate it. Welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. You're listening to Ethan Van Sciver. I am a comic book artist, have been for 25 years. It's nearly, actually it's more than at this point, a quarter of a century. And I'm also the illustrator of Jordan B. Peterson's 12 Rules for Life. Have you read it? Yeah, cool. I'm also a Star Wars fan, great big Star Wars fan, which is why yesterday at 7 p.m. I went to see Soylo, a Star Wars story. Now at the outset of this commentary, I want to just answer something that keeps popping up in my comment section. About 10% of the comments are people saying, what, you support a boycott and then you go give Disney your money? How does that work? You said you're a hypocrite. I say this with love. I have never once said that I'm going to boycott this movie. I think I've said over and over and over again that I'm going to go see this movie. As someone with what has become a Star Wars channel, because frankly, it's a lot of fun talking about Star Wars. I feel it is my job to actually go see a Star Wars movie, to actually come back to you and tell you what I thought about it. It is my job also, I've made it so, because that's part of what this channel is becoming, to review the toys and the products and everything that Hasbro and other places put out to promote these movies. I am interested in the phenomenon of Disney Star Wars. After seeing The Last Jedi, I didn't become less interested in Star Wars, ironically, even though I despised that movie. I became more interested in it as a phenomenon, a cultural phenomenon, part of the culture war that I have been in the middle of and dragged into for the past few years in the comic book industry. So my feeling about a boycott has always been and continues to be, I do not personally support the idea of boycotts in general. I don't believe in them. I don't believe in an organized strike in which people deny themselves the right or the privilege or the option to go see a work of art, a movie, even eat at a restaurant, anything like that. I don't believe in that. At one point, I did come out on this channel and condemn a boycott. I said, guys, don't talk about an organized boycott, because then you won't know what you're talking about. And you kind of do want to be informed. You do need to actually see this movie in some way. If you see it illegally, whatever. I mean, your Uncle Ethan turns a blind eye, okay? I mean, that's fine. But you do need to know what you're talking about when you're talking about what is going on culturally with Star Wars and Disney. Same thing with the toys. Now, my channel, the purpose of my channel is to see this stuff, have an opinion of it, and if you like my opinion, if you enjoy hearing what I think about things, you can make informed choices one way or the other based on what I'm telling you. When I open a toy in front of you and play with it and say, hey, this is what's good about this is what's bad about it, the purpose of it isn't for me to give money to Disney. That's incidental. The larger purpose of something like that is for me to tell you or show you and give you an idea as to whether you should give money to Disney or Hasbro or Walmart or Denny's or any of these things. It's, I experience it. You can look at it, get a closer look at it, and decide if that's something that you personally want to invest in. Having said that, with some of the attitudes and abuse that have come the fans' way from people like Ryan Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, some of the people at Lucasfilm, I have come around and said that I understand a boycott here. I understand it. And if you choose to engage in a political stance about regarding Disney's Star Wars, abstain just for the sake of abstaining and sending a message with your dollar, regardless of whether the product itself is good. That is now something that I do understand. However, I will never do that. So I say this a million times over. I've had to kind of correct people in the comments a couple times. I can't do it all the time because it gets tiresome. But I mean, and again, with love, guys, I'm not boycotting Disney Star Wars. I can't do that. I would have nothing to talk about on my Star Wars channel if I did that, except just to sputter and rage. No, this channel is we engage these things with humor. We have to. We have no choice. Disney is the owner of Lucasfilm. They own all these properties. This is theirs now. They're going to do stuff with it. So we have a choice to either ignore it or examine it and possibly laugh, possibly get angry. And there are reasons to get angry. I mean, Solo last night was a very, very strange movie, and I came out of it feeling like I had seen a Disney Channel for kids. I mean, it was very much for children in some aspects, and then in some aspects it was very adult, and it was full of moments of kind of social justice, reprogramming, and propaganda that didn't relate to the characters as we had known them before. So I came out of the movie feeling kind of annoyed. And I think I told you guys last night, don't go see it. Don't go see it. Now that's my recommendation. It doesn't mean I'm advocating a boycott. I'm just saying it's not good. See it if you want to. But if you were to ask me, Ethan, should I see this movie? The answer is no. Go see something else. I'm waiting for Jurassic World. That looks awesome. I love anything with dinosaurs. Haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet, but I might go out to the movies to just give Marvel Comics a little bit of my money. Why not? Why not? Hang on, let me clear my throat. I paused the video to clear my throat. Isn't that great? All right, I don't need to subject you guys to that, but it's early in the morning and I'm froggy from talking all last night. That was an incredible live stream, so I thank you guys for joining. My thoughts this morning, after I've slept on it and thought about this movie, are pretty much the same as they were yesterday. A few other additions, complaints. I really have to say, I know that Disney has said, or Lucasfilm has said, the idea is that Han starts out as an idealist here, and then I guess he is going to evolve into the Han Solo that we know and love, but that's just not the way human beings work. Han Solo in this movie is in his early 20s. He's not a teenager. He's kind of become who he is. His attitudes should have kind of somewhat cemented themselves. And one of the moments that really super annoyed me, first of all, the character L337 is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And I really, really hate and despise L337. It's one thing to be a ridiculous, posh British feminist robot droid who is sitting there yelling at the when we first meet her, she's banging on the cage inside of a casino where Lando Calrissian is gambling. The famous scene that we've all seen in all the trailers and everything of Han Solo gambling. Well, off to the side in this establishment, there is literally a pen, kind of arena, where battle bots are fighting. I mean, if you've seen the TV shows where people kind of build little robots, remote control robots that have buzzsaws and things and little weapons, flamethrowers to fight. Well, that's what's going on there. They have a BattleBots match, and there are people cheering on the BattleBots. And L337 is banging on the cage and demanding that these droids are not being treated civilly, and they need to be set free, and they need to have their rights. And this is an outrage. And I'm just thinking, the difference between those things, even if a droid is sentient, and even if there's a creature like L337 who believes that it is not property, it is a person, in quotes, with rights. Those things are something different. I mean, that's like L37 coming in here and yelling at my iPad or my printer or my vacuum cleaner that it needs to have rights. Those things were not intelligent creatures in any way. I mean, they were just weapons that were there fighting each other for amusement. So that was very, very strange indeed. Now, the one part that really, really disturbed me was when L337 came into the Millennium Falcon. Han Solo has put himself in the bitch seat right next to Lando Calrissian, and L337 comes in and says, get your presumptuous ass out of my seat. And Han Solo just, what? Okay, and gets up and gets out of the seat. Now, this is not who Han Solo is. If you recall his interactions with the very posh and also somewhat bitchy Princess Leia in Star Wars: A New Hope, Han Solo will not abide being talked to that way by anyone, much less a woman with those kind of sort of delusions of grandeur. He basically tells Princess Leia over and over again, he calls her your worship, and he's sarcastic with her, and he puts her in her place. And, she, of course, is a real feminist icon and actually puts him back in his place, but he never learns. I mean, he basically learns to respect her. He doesn't learn to be ordered about by her. He's not super polite to her in any way. That's just not who Han Solo is. He's like, if you're giving it to me, I'm going to give it right back to you. Now, is this the face of young Han Solo who hasn't yet learned that he's allowed to not be mouthed off to by anyone? Evidently, Han Solo spends this movie getting pushed around. He gets pushed around by everyone. When he has a moment of foresight, as a swindler, as a gambler, and outsmarts everyone in the room, then at the end of the movie, I mean, that's a moment where you go, oh yeah, that's kind of Han Solo there. For the most part, he doesn't resemble the character that he is to become. This is kind of like, I continue to say, this is a lot like a Disney Channel version of Star Wars. And imagine, it kind of reminds me of a really bad Star Trek TV show. You have, the historical, importance of, 1967's Star Wars series. Was it 67 or 66? It's right after the Twilight Zone ended, kind of. I think it was 67. There's that, and then the hugeness, the epic grandeur of the Star Trek movies. Say what you want about them, they really felt big. And then finally, when it would come onto TV with something like Star Trek Voyager. This is the Star Trek Voyager of Star Wars, in essence. I think people's mileage will vary. I'm seeing people come out of it and saying that was good, that was really good. Okay, I mean, this is the difference between, say, our generation. I'm in my 40s. I saw New Hope in the theater when I was very young, 3 or 4 years old, and I'd seen it on TV. All throughout the late 70s and early 80s, Star Wars would come on annually, usually around Christmas time, on CBS, and it would be a big event, and we would pop popcorn, and we would sit around and watch Star Wars on network TV. And then when VCRs came out, before that Betamax, the guys down the street from me, the Timpanellis, they bought a Betamax, and they were so proud of it. I was like, that's pretty neat. It was really needlessly complicated. When you fast forwarded it, the characters would speak. They weren't quiet. They go beep, 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 like chipmunks. So it was really annoying to rewind or fast forward something. We waited. We were like, we're too poor to buy one right now. And then we ended up buying the VHS VCR, which was obviously the smart investment. And they were expensive. They were really expensive back then in the early 80s. And by the way, buying a videotape, if you wanted to buy a copy of Star Wars in 1982, you're looking at about $85. $85, that's how much a VHS videotape was of a movie. So you would have to basically invest an awful lot if you wanted a real library, which is why most of us said, hey, you have a VCR, I have a VCR, let's hook them together, and one VCR will play the movie on the TV and the other VCR will tape the movie off the TV. That's called pirating. We're little Han Solos, aren't we? And people would, in my neighborhood, my poor little New Jersey neighborhood, would create a vast library of pirated movies. And we just ignored those FBI warnings. We were just like The Sopranos. So anyway, yeah, A New Hope has been with me for an awful long time, just like I'm sure it's been with you guys for an awful long time. Most people, I guess, this young generation doesn't have that. They don't have that the connection to the original trilogy the way that we do. I mean, these characters are so ingrained in our souls and in who we are. They're so super familiar. We know Han Solo. We've known him our whole lives. So when we see something like this, we go, "What is this cornflakes version of Han Solo? What is this? What is this Millennial Flamingo? This is not the Millennium Falcon. What's going on here?" And then who are these sharp, obnoxious female characters that are beating everyone up? Either the men are licking their stiletto boots like Lando Calrissian, or they're being crushed under them like Han Solo. It's there isn't a lot of variety when it comes to the heroic men in these movies, and I guess to my generation that is something that stands out like a sore thumb. But to others, maybe this is this is just the way it is now. This is the way of the world. This is the way of soy, which is the whole kind of underlying theme, I think, of this channel. The effects of soy on our entertainment and on our attitudes and the way we receive this entertainment. We see this and we go, oh, it's okay. Meanwhile, there's something of masculinity that's been lost. That article that was widely circulated from the independent.co.uk, which is UK, about how Han Solo is the heroic man that male feminists have been waiting for. What a creepy statement that is. It was a whole article about how Han Solo, he isn't bound down by traditional toxic masculinity, meaning masculinity, which is now thought of as toxic. He's someone who, he's free, he's liberated, whatever any of this nonsense means. What is a male feminist? What does a male feminist want? A male feminist wants to stay out of jail for statutory rape charges and sexual harassment. That's pretty much all a male feminist is looking for, while virtue signaling to the world. Han Solo, not that guy, I don't think. That's not who he is. But I think he reflects back to them the way they'd like to think of themselves. This isn't how I would like to think of myself. I wish I were this handsome. I wish I were that handsome. But in any case, my thoughts about this movie are still kind of developing. This is an interesting social phenomenon that I think not a lot of people will pick up on. I think channels like World Class Bullshitters, I haven't listened to his thoughts and review of the movie yet. I have been scrambling around all day yesterday, and then even this morning I've got a bunch of stuff to do. But I'll be interested in seeing what he has to say. I know Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers. These are the other two fellows on the High Council. He is abstaining from this movie. He is choosing the boycott. He's very political about this. He's very political about Star Wars. He's an advocate. Again, that's not what I do. I am not and will never boycott anything from Star Wars, as far as I know, unless it really gets out of control. No, I am going to get this stuff. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to laugh at it. I'm going to throw it away if it needs to be thrown away. And sometimes, like in the case of that beautiful First Order 6-inch figure scale TIE fighter, it's going to stay in my office. Good Star Wars stuff exists and it needs to be exalted and mentioned. And people do say to me, hey, Disney doesn't care what you think. They only care about your money. I disagree. I very much disagree. I think they do care what we think quite a bit, and they care what we say. And I think they will react to the fans and what they say, whether they admit it to us or not. They have to. They answer to people other than themselves. And frankly, enough people eventually do get turned off and stop going. It could happen to me. I don't foresee it, but it could happen to me where I just go, I don't care anymore. I still care. I still care to this point. I still care about Star Wars because I was a kid who kept a journal of pictures, of drawings when I was a kid, and those journals are full of drawings of Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker with a green lightsaber, fighting each other. I drew these things with crayons. I've loved Star Wars my whole life. I aspired to be a child who owned all of these toys, and I wasn't that child. It's never going to leave me. As an adult now, I can have a $900 Jabba the Hutt hot toy or whatever. Is it Sideshow? I think Sideshow, collectibles toy, if I want to. And that's a good thing. Although I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get that. And I have hope. I still have hope. It hasn't been beaten out of me yet. Not even by this boring, offensive, silly, flat, shallow, pretentious in some ways, and soy-drenched movie. I defy it. I still have hope, and I hope some of you do too. I hope some of you join me. If not, join me for the laughs. Thanks very much. Hey, want to follow me on Twitter? Okay, cool. I'm at Ethan Van Sciver. Talk to you there. Many thanks to all of you who support this channel. Really appreciate those of you who subscribe, who click thumbs up, who like these videos, who share them. You guys are just making this channel grow so fast, and I really appreciate you. Thanks to everyone who has signed on to my Patreon. I'm going to make a new list pretty soon. We're getting to the end of the month. If you'd like to be on the list, on the scrolling credits sequence for next month's videos, please sign up to my Patreon today. I think it's $5 per month will get you on this list. And that link is below in the description. Thanks to everyone who donates to the Super Chat during the live streams as well. That is absolutely terrific. Thank you so much, guys.